Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wonder why you feel so different, looking back at your younger self compared to imagining your older self? Well, this new study might have a clue. This is the big question researchers set out to answer. We have a sense of who we are right now, but how do we project that self into our past and into our future? Think about it. Do you feel equally connected to the person you were 10 years ago as you do to the person you'll be in 10 years? Most of us probably haven't given it much thought, but new research suggests there is a strong bias in how we see ourselves across time. That is right across a bunch of different countries and studies. People tend to feel more like their future selves than their past selves. This is pretty fascinating because from a physics standpoint, time is time, right? 10 years ago is the same temporal distance as 10 years from now. But psychologically, it seems our minds work a little differently. So, they did a ton of research, 11 studies with over 10,000 people, and the finding was super consistent. We feel a bigger connection, a stronger sense of similarity to the US that is coming up than the USEs, that is already past. This isn't just about feeling good about the future. It actually extends to things like our goals and preferences. So why does this happen? The researchers identified a couple of key reasons. One, we tend to feel more emotionally connected to our future selves. It makes sense, right? The future holds possibilities, things we can work towards. The past is done. And two, we tend to underestimate how much will change in the future. We think our future selves will be more like us now than they probably will be. It is like we're on this ongoing journey and the destination seems more like home than where we've already been. And this isn't some small niche finding. They tested it in so many ways. Different study designs asking people to think forward or backward, looking at different time spans like 5 or 10 years. They even checked if it was just a reading thing. Like because we read left to right, maybe that influences how we think about time. Nope, the effect held up. It was seen across 9 different countries too, showing it is a pretty universal human experience. Let's dive into how they figured this out. In study 1A, they had over 1,000 participants think about their selves across a 10-year span. They had 3 groups. One group thought about their future self looking back at their current self. Another thought about their current self looking forward to their future self. And a third thought about their current self looking back at their past self. And here is what they found when people looked forward to their future self. Whether it was looking forward from the present or imagining their future self looking back, they reported feeling significantly more similar and connected than when they looked back at their past self. It's pretty clear from this graph. The future connection is way higher than the past connection. They wanted to make sure this wasn't just a fluke with a specific method. So in study 1B, they used a within participants design. This means each person did both comparisons. They rated how similar they felt to their future self and how similar they felt to their past self, both with a 5-year time frame. And guess what? The result was the same. People still felt significantly more similar to their future self than their past self. Even when they were directly comparing the two, they still leaned towards the future. When they asked people directly, about 51% felt closer to their future self, while only about 24% felt closer to their past self. Okay, so we know people feel more similar to their future selves, but does this apply to more than just who we are as people? In study 2, they expanded the research to include 9 countries and looked at goals and preferences too. This graph tells a great story. Across all 3 domains, your global self, your goals, and your preferences, people consistently reported feeling more similar to their future selves than their past selves. This future bias isn't just about your personality. It extends to what you want and what you like. Now let's get to the why. In study 3A, they really dug into those mediating factors we talked about: perceived self-change, emotional connection, and temporal distance. They asked people about their similarity to their past and future selves, and then measured their beliefs about how much they'll change, how connected they feel, and how far away time feels. The results here are really insightful. As we predicted, people reported higher similarity to their future selves. But the mediation analysis showed that this was indeed tied to 2 factors. First, people acknowledged they had changed a lot in the past, but they believed they would change much less in the future. This is the end of history illusion we've talked about before. And second, they felt a stronger emotional connection to their future selves. Interestingly, the perceived temporal distance wasn't a significant mediator. So it's not that the future feels closer, it's more about how much we expect to change and how we emotionally relate to that future self. To really nail down the causal link between perceived self-change and similarity, they did something clever in study 3B. They manipulated people's beliefs about self-change. Some people read an article suggesting people mostly stay the same, while others read about constant change. Then they measured similarity, and the results showed that when people were led to believe they change less in the future, they reported higher future self-similarity. This provides causal evidence. Changing beliefs about how much you'll change directly impacts how similar you feel to your future self. It is a subtler effect, around a 20% difference, but it's there, and it suggests that our beliefs about change play a key role. Now for a really important part. What are the consequences of this future bias? In study 4, they looked at how this asymmetry impacts our decisions and our satisfaction with them. They asked people about hypothetical decisions in areas like career, education, and lifestyle. They compared current satisfaction with decisions hypothetically made in the past versus predicted future satisfaction with decisions hypothetically made today. The findings here are striking. People predicted they would be more satisfied in the future with decisions they made today than they currently felt about similar decisions they hypothetically made in the past. Look at that graph. Across all 5 life domains, people expected higher satisfaction for future decisions made by their current self. This means we might be setting ourselves up for disappointment or at least miscalibrated expectations. We might be overestimating how good future us will feel about choices present us is making, and this was, in part, mediated by that same future self-similarity bias. So, what is the big takeaway from all this research? The central finding is a robust temporal asymmetry in how we project ourselves through time. We consistently feel more similar to our future selves than our past selves. This isn't something we consciously orchestrate. It seems to be a fundamental aspect of how our minds process time and identity. This directly builds on existing theories of projection bias, which suggests we project our current state onto the future. But this work clarifies that this projection isn't neutral. It is tilted. We lean forward, we feel more connected to the person we're becoming than the person we were. This is where it gets really practical, because we feel more connected to our future selves. Our past selves can feel more distant. This might hinder our ability to learn from past mistakes or fully appreciate past successes. We might be undervaluing the lessons learned from experiences that are now behind us. Think about finances. If you feel less connected to your past self, you might not learn as much from past financial blunders. And because you are projecting positivity onto your future self, you might overestimate how happy you'll be with current financial choices. Financial advisors could help people bridge this gap by encouraging a more balanced review of past and future financial decisions. In marketing, this suggests that messages focusing on future benefits or aspirations might resonate more strongly than those referencing past experiences. It's a subtle difference, but it could influence how we respond to advertising. And in our careers, we might be making big decisions today, feeling very confident about them, and assuming our future selves will be just as thrilled. But perhaps we'd be wiser to also deeply consider what past career decisions taught us. Managers could encourage employees to reflect on past experiences before making new commitments. Now, no study is perfect, and the researchers acknowledged this. While they looked at 9 countries, most were still from Western backgrounds. It would be really interesting to see if this future bias holds up in cultures with very different views on time and self. Also, the study on decision satisfaction used hypothetical scenarios. It would be even more powerful to track actual people's decisions over time and see if this prediction bias really plays out in real-world satisfaction. So, to wrap it all up, this research provides compelling evidence that our sense of self isn't projected equally through time. We tend to favor the future, feeling more connected and similar to the person we're becoming. This bias is influenced by how much we expect to change and our emotional connection to future events. While this future focus can be motivating, it also means we might not be adequately learning from our past or making perfectly calibrated decisions for the future. It is a really important insight into the human mind and how we navigate our own personal timelines. What do you think? Do you feel more like your future self or your past self? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this interesting, please like this video and subscribe to RUBIN'S Mind Lab for more science explained simply. Well, see you next time.